and a good Friday afternoon or evening or Saturday morning. Wherever you are, so happy that you are here with us. Welcome to another Read Along with the Chattering Magpie and the rest of the mischief. Hey gang, how are you?
Hello!
Greeting mischief.
Greetings everybody, thank you for joining me, and we got a good number today, which is good because we have plenty of roles going around this time around. So also happy to see folks on YouTube. Welcome everybody. Happy Friday. And let's see, we're gonna start reading the comments on the early gang because Akihana demands demands it so. Or at least hasn't demanded, but I see that there's a lot to read. So let's say hello to Akihana, who is unable to join us, but did drop a few comments. So Akihana says, as much as I'd love to be able to join this lovely read-along, I regret to say that I would sadly have to miss out on hearing our dear Empress's dulcet tones, as I will very much be ensconced within the warmth of our dear Schlaftrum's embrace. Aw. Well, I hope you sleep well, and that you enjoy the read-along, the replay, of course. Thank you also for all the poetic greetings in there. I see you used all of these noble euphemisms, which I mad respect, because I can't. Says, just as I pray the Chaosopher stays her hand and not obstruct stifle breeze from her journey, may Hermes evade Eris's chaotic I don't know what's going on here, but you do you, yes. Sleep well, Akihana. We will greet you when you wake up. Hop on over whenever you want. Also, Crusher was here. Crusher, if you're listening, hello, and join us if you're able to. I know you're at work, but if you can sneak away or pop on an earbud, please feel free to do so. Says, wowie, so many comments. I know, right? I love seeing comments in the early gang. Teal also was here and is with us. Hello, Teal. How are you?
I'm ebullient.
Ebullient. Ooh, love that for you. I feel when I hear those words, it's like I see champagne bubbles. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I see in my head. Says, it's my father's 70th. Oh my goodness, happy birthday to him. My dad's also going to be 70 this month too. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So what is that? Geminis? Maybe not.
My father's a Taurus.
Oh,
I'm
Taurus.
Not sure.
Okay.
It might be like beginning versus end of May.
Okay. So that's changed. My dad is the latter end of May, so probably. Okay. Makes sense. So congratulations to your father at the big 70. That is quite a number, you know. May we all be blessed enough to reach that age. What was it, Patrick?
Indeed.
I said it's quite a feat.
Exactly. So says, I think he resembles Matthew Cuthbert a fair bit, though there's one obvious area I hope he doesn't resemble Matthew in at all. If you know, you know. I don't know, Teal. Do you want me to hazard a guess? I think we'll just leave it at that. But
just read the book and find out.
Oh! Yes, me too. Exactly, me too. Exactly. Let's see. Hirami is also here in the chat. Says, "Let's go." Hello, Hirami. Welcome. happy that you got in just in time to nab a reading roll. Little Butterfly is also with us. Hey, Butterfly. Hello. And again, Little Butterfly is also going to be reading with us today. Fuji petals floating in the river says, farewell, Lady Akihana. I too look forward to the day when Juggernaut weaves together our threads once more. And yes, Jürgen Schmidt and Greek gods. That kind of like had my brain glitching a little bit. Right? Usually I don't mix my I don't mix my pantheons, you guys, but I guess. All right. I mean, if we want to mix pantheons, let's just kind of give Magpie a warning so that she can adjust her brain. As it is, it's kind of hard to adjust languages sometimes. And I only know 2 languages, so I guess I kind of have to draw from that skill. By the way, one time, you guys, when I was in high school, like you guys know, I took French for 3 years. And then I started but kind of on my own, unofficially studying Japanese, which you can guess I didn't get too far into it because I have 0 discipline to study on my own. I need a teacher all the time to be like cracking the whip. But anyway, so I started doing that, and
it really helps.
Yeah,
it really helps
does.
to watch anime with
No
subtitles.
with no subtitles, if that, yeah. So you guys, I was.
Well, if you're trying to learn Japanese, listen to it in the Japanese language with the subtitles. I mean, you're gonna have to learn how to figure out the different dialects because they do a lot of different dialects. However, listening to native speakers speak Japanese with subtitles can help.
I have heard it say, yes, and I also have heard it say that better rather than just have anime, which it's not, how people usually speak. If you are able to also study, basic vocabulary, and when you get to a certain point, you should start listening to radio or podcasts. There actually are podcasts that are specifically for Japanese learners, where they use like vocabulary that's within their reach, and instead of using like more advanced vocabulary, they actually will help as well. So anyway,
Also, I would like to mention that for some people it might actually spoken, so like in an anime or a movie or something, it might be a little too fast for more beginners. So like I do recommend like written or the best. I literally learned English mostly from manga, so from Japanese manga. So I recommend that route also because you don't have to like pause constantly to like read the subtitles or something. So yeah, it works. At least for me, it works a lot to be able to be in my own time.
Though for Japanese, it's a little bit tough because you have the kanji, and then you have to like, oh my god, what is this? Patrick?
Yeah. I like to supplement my Japanese learning with Rosetta Stone.
Ooh, Rosetta Stone. And this is not this would be the best place to insert a Rosetta Stone affiliate link, ad, whatever. If you want to support your Magpie, click on that join button. It will not get you the Rosetta Stone, but it will definitely help Magpies. Become a member, everybody.
Use promo code BirdBrain.
By the way, we have people who actually have taught themselves, or they speak Japanese here, or to some degree of fluency, though they will always downplay it. They're here in our chat. Hello, 2 of you who know.
Yes, Teal is very good with Japanese. I am less good.
And hi Remy, you too. So if you want to impart upon us any tricks or things, please, this is the moment for the Japanese. Because I know we talked about anime, but how do you keep your ears open? Like, is it just anime, or do you do like music, movies? What do you do?
A big thing is watching Japanese streamers on YouTube because, they talk very conversationally, like how a Japanese person would actually talk. Sometimes in anime, they've got their little quirks that don't really translate to actually talking to someone in real life.
For real.
For me, it helps that I have relatives who talk in Japanese, and they keep reinforce and talking with me in Japanese, even if I still respond then in Portuguese. So yeah, your brain kind of starts to get used to picking what are words and what are connections.
Okay. Yeah.
So Teal brought up a really good point. I'm guessing most Japanese speakers don't say "datai boyo" all the time.
Yeah, although I suppose some of my Japanese streamers sometimes sort of adopt anime quirks, so maybe they're not the best example.
This one.
We kind of headed off into this kind of Japanese tangent because I was in the middle of saying a story. Sorry, I just have to finish the story because it goes back to the crossovers, okay? So I was saying things in French. I was practicing French because I didn't want to lose it. But then Japanese things started creeping into it. So I was like, "Motto kudasai" or something like that, or something. I don't know. It was just like random Japanese kept getting into the French and vice versa. So now the two languages are kind of weirdly in my head. They're kind of the same.
What a mix.
I don't know
Merci
why.
beaucoup, gomennasai.
Yes, like that. My sister knows French too. So we would be kind of like talking a little bit, because I didn't want my mom to listen to our conversation. And then we started calling each other baka or like stuff like that, like other things, because I would listen.
I frequently call myself baka.
Yeah. So just saying, crossovers. We have ideas here on the chat. Tio says, interesting fanfic idea, Hermes and Ordos Shelley, which actually makes sense because Ordos Shelley is a akin of a goddess, so it's gonna be a girl. So it could work. And given the fact that, I don't know if you guys have been following the Hannah lore, but it has been shown that the gods are kind of like quirky and kind of playful like that a little bit. So they also have their own little romantic little subplots going on. So anyway, interesting stuff. Maybe somebody can write that. Let's see.
Magpie desires your fanfics.
And Fuji Petals Floating in the River says, I watch French dub anime sometimes, and if the anime won't let me watch the Japanese version. Ooh, that's a good way. I would like to revisit French again. I watched Spy Fam in Spanish and French and English the first season.
Is Fuji the one who's writing Afraid Not, or
no?
Because I remember one of the last streams they were asking if you had proofread it.
Oh no, that Afraid Not is being written by JC Fergie.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Fergie's writing Afraid Not. Hopefully we can get an update on that one. But if not, it's okay. Wherever Fergie you are, I hope you're doing well. Okay, so how about we get started?
Come on, Canuckian, join us with your national story.
You guys, let's get started. We are here to read Anne of Green Gables. I know this is not just, we're not here to kick back and chat. You can do that with us at any time in the server, but not right now. Right now we're going to read.
And for fun conversations like this, please like and subscribe and support your Magpie. And especially if you want to join us on the Discord, your support is always appreciated.
Yes, thank you. We are going to be reading today chapter 19 and 20, and we have today reading the following roles. Yukihime, welcome back, Yukihime. By the way, we missed you. Yukihime is going to be reprising her role as Anne. Teal shall be reading Marilla. Teal, you make a great Marilla, as well as Mrs. Rachel. And Patrick is going to be reading Matthew. Little Butterfly is going to be reading Diana and Miss Josephine Barry. And Hirami is going to be reading Mrs. Barry. And I shall be reading Narrator. Great. And again, thank you to Hirami and Tia who were kind enough to highlight these 2 chapters. All right, gang, are you ready to read Chapter 19? A concert,
Yes.
a catastrophe, and a confession. Take it away.
Marilla, can I go over to see Diana for just a minute?
Asked Anne, running breathlessly down from the East Gable one February evening.
I don't see what you want to be traipsing about after dark for,
said Marilla shortly.
You and Diana walked home from school together and then stood down there in the snow for half an hour more, your tongues going the whole blessed time, clickety-clack. So I don't see you're very badly off to see her again.
But she wants to see me.
Pleaded Anne.
She has something very important to tell me.
How do you know she has?
Because she just signaled to me from her window. We have arranged a way to signal with our candles and cardboard. We set the candle on the windowsill and make flashes by passing the cardboard back and forth. So many flashes mean a certain thing. It was my idea, Marilla.
I'll warrant you it was,
said Marilla emphatically.
And the next thing you'll be setting fire to the curtains with your signaling nonsense.
Oh, we're very careful, Marilla, and it's so interesting. 2 flashes mean, are you there? 3 means yes, and 4 no. 5 mean come over as soon as possible because I have something important to reveal. Diana has just signaled 5 flashes, and I'm really suffering to know what it is.
Well, you needn't suffer any longer,
said Marilla sarcastically.
You can go, but you're to be back here in just 10 minutes. Remember that.
Anne did remember it, and was back in the stipulated time, although probably no mortal will ever know just what it cost her to confine the discussion of Diana's important communication within the limits of 10 minutes. But at least she had made good use of them.
Oh, Marilla, what do you think? You know tomorrow is Diana's birthday. Well, her mother told her she could ask me to go home with her from school and stay all night with her. And her cousins are coming over from Newbridge in a big pong sleigh to go to the debating club concert. The hall tomorrow night, and they are going to take Diana and me to the concert. If you let me go, that is, you will, won't you, Marilla? Oh, I feel so excited!
You can calm down then, because you're not going. You're better at home in your own bed, and as for that club concert, it's all nonsense. And little girls should not be allowed to go out to such places at all.
I'm sure the debating club is a most respectable affair,
pleaded Diane.
I'm not saying it isn't, but you're not going to begin gadding about to concerts and staying out all hours of the night. Pretty doings for children. I'm surprised that Mrs. Barry's letting Diana go.
But it's such a very special occasion,
mourned Anne, on the verge of tears.
Diana has only one birthday in a year. It isn't as if birthdays were common things, Marilla. Prissy Andrews is going to recite Curfew Must Not Ring Tonight. That is such a good moral piece, Marilla. I'm sure it would do me lots of good to hear it. And the choir are going to sing 4 lovely, pathetic songs that are pretty near as good as hymns. And oh, Marilla, the minister is going to take part. Yes, indeed he is. He's going to give an address that will be just about the same thing as a sermon. Please, mayn't I go, Marilla?
You heard what I said, Anne, didn't you? Take off your boots now and go to bed. It's past 8.
There's just one more thing, Marilla,
said Anne with the air of producing the last shot in her locker.
Mrs. Barry told Diana that we might sleep in the spare room bed. Think of the honor of your little Anne being put in the spare room bed.
It's an honor you'll have to get along without. Go to bed, Anne, And don't let me hear another word out of you.
When Anne, with tears rolling over her cheeks, had gone sorrowfully upstairs, Matthew, who had been apparently sound asleep on the lounge during that whole dialogue, opened his eyes and said decidedly,
Well, now, Marilla, I think you ought to let Anne go.
I don't then.
retorted Marilla.
Who's bringing this child up, Matthew? You or me?
Well, now, you.
Admitted Matthew.
Don't interfere then.
Well, now, I ain't interfering. I ain't interfering to have your own. It ain't interfering to have your own opinion. And my opinion is that you ought to let Anne go.
You'd think I ought to let Anne go to the moon if she took the notion, I've no doubt.
Was Marilla's amiable rejoinder.
I might have let her spend the night with Diana, if that was all. But I don't approve of this concert plan. She'd go there and catch cold like as not, and have her head filled up with nonsense and excitement. It would unsettle her for a week. I understand that child's disposition and what's good for it better than you, Matthew.
I think you ought to let Anne go.
Repeated Matthew firmly. Argument was not his strong point, but holding fast to his opinion certainly was. Marilla gave a gasp of helplessness and took refuge in silence. The next morning, when Anne was washing the breakfast dishes in the pantry, Matthew paused on his way out to the barn to say to Marilla again,
I think you ought to let Anne go, Marilla.
For a moment, Marilla looked things not lawful to be uttered. Then she yielded to the inevitable and said tartly,
Very well, she can go, since nothing else will please you.
Anne flew out of the pantry, dripping dishcloth in hand.
Oh, Marilla, say those blessed words again.
I guess once is enough to say them. This is Matthew's doings, and I wash my hands of it. If you catch pneumonia sleeping in a strange bed, or coming out of that hot hall in the middle of the night, don't blame me. Blame Matthew. Anne Shirley, you're dripping greasy water all over the floor. I never saw such a careless child.
Oh, I know I'm a great trial to you, Marilla.
Said Anne repentantly.
I make so many mistakes, but then just think of all the mistakes I don't make, although I might. I'll get some sand and scrub up the spots before I go to school. Oh, Marilla, my heart was just set on going to that concert. I never was to a concert in my life, and when the other girls talk about them in school, I feel so out of it. You didn't know just how I felt about it, but you see, Matthew did. Matthew understands me, and it's so nice to be understood, Marilla.
Anne was too excited to do herself justice as to lessons that morning in school. Gilbert Blythe spelled her down in class and left her clear out of sight in mental arithmetic. Anne's consequent humiliation was less than it might have been, however, in view of the concert and the spare room bed. She and Diana talked so constantly all about it all that day with a stricter that she and Diana talked so constantly about it all that day that with a stricter teacher than Mr. Phillips, dire disgrace must inevitably have been their portion. Anne felt that she could not have borne it if she had not been going to the concert, for nothing else was discussed that day in school. The Avonlea Debating Club, which met fortnightly all winter, had several smaller free entertainments, but this was to be a big affair. Admission, 10 cents, in aid of the library. The Avonlea young people had been practicing for weeks, and all the scholars were especially interested in it by reason of older brothers and sisters who were going to take part. Everybody in school over 9 years of age expected to go, except Carrie Sloane, whose father shared Marilla's opinions about small girls going out to night concerts. Carrie Sloane cried into her grammar all the afternoon and felt that life was not worth living. For Anne, the real excitement began with the dismissal of school and increased their form. For Anne, the real excitement began with the dismissal of school and increased therefrom in crescendo until it reached into a crash of positive ecstasy in the concert itself. They had a perfectly elegant tea, and then came the delicious occupation of dressing in Diana's little room upstairs. Diana did Anne's front hair in a new pompadour style, and Anne tied Diana's bows with the especial knack she possessed, and they experimented with at least half a dozen different ways of arranging their back hair. At last they were ready, cheeks scarlet and eyes glowing with excitement. True, Anne could not help a little pang when she contrasted her plain black tam and shapeless, tight-sleeved, homemade grey cloth coat with Diana's jaunty fur cap and smart little jacket. But she remembered in time that she had an imagination and could use it. Then Diana's cousins, the Murrays from Newbridge, came. They all crowded into the big pond sleigh among straw and furry robes. Anne revelled in the drive into the hall, slipping along over the satin-smooth roads with the snow crisping under the runners. It was a magnificent sunset, and the snowy hills and deep blue water of the St. Lawrence Gulf seemed to rim in the splendor like a huge bowl of pearl and sapphire, brimmed with wine and fire. Tinkles of sleigh bells and distant laughter that seemed like the mirth of wood elves came from every quarter.
Oh, Diana!
Breathed Anne, squeezing Diana's mittened hand under the fur robe.
Isn't it all like a beautiful dream? Do I really look like the same as usual? I feel so different that it seems to me it must show in my looks.
You look awfully nice,
said Diana, who, having just received a compliment from one of her cousins, felt that she ought to pass it on.
You've got the loveliest color.
The program that night was a series of thrills for at least one listener in the audience, and, as Anne assured Diana, every succeeding thrill was thrillier than the last. When Prissy Andrews, attired in a new pink silk waist, with a string of pearls around her smooth white throat and real carnations in her hair, rumor whispered that the master had sent all the way to town for them for her, climbed the slimy ladder without one ray of light, and shivered in luxurious sympathy. When the choir sang far above the gentle daisies, Anne gazed at the ceiling as if it were frescoed with angels. When Sam Sloane proceeded to explain and illustrate how Suckery set a hen, Anne laughed until people sitting near her laughed too, more out of sympathy than with amusement at a selection that was rather threadbare, even in Avonlea. And when Mr. Phillips gave Mark Antony's oration over the dead body of Caesar in the most heart-stirring tones, looking at Prissy Andrews at the end of every sentence, Anne felt that she could rise and mutiny on the spot if but one Roman citizen led the way. Only one number in the program failed to interest her. When Gilbert Blythe recited Bingen on the Rhine, Anne picked up Rhoda Murray's library book and read it until he had finished. When she sat rigidly stiff and motionless, while Diana clapped her hands until they tingled. It was 11 when they got home, sated with dissipation, but with the exceeding sweet pleasure of talking it all over still to come. Everybody seemed asleep, and the house was dark and silent. Anne and Diana tiptoed into the parlor, a long narrow room out of which the spare room opened. It was pleasantly warm and dimly lighted by the embers of a fire in the grate.
Let's undress here,
said Diana.
It's nice and warm.
Hasn't it been a delightful time?
Sighed Anne rapturously.
It must be splendid to get up and recite there. Do you suppose we will ever be asked to do it, Diana?
Yes, of course. Some days there's always wanting the big scholars to recite. Gilbert Blythe does often, and he's only 2 years older than us. Oh, Anne, how could you e- pretend
Then,
not to listen to him when he came to the line? There's another, not a sister. He looked right down at you.
Diana,
said Anne with dignity.
you are my bosom friend, but I cannot allow even you to speak to me of that person. Are you ready for bed? Let's run a race and see who'll get to the bed first.
The suggestion appealed to Diana. The two little white-clad figures flew down the long room, through the spare room door, and bounded on the bed at the same moment. And then something moved beneath them. There was a gasp and a cry, and somebody said in muffled accents,
Merciful goodness!
Anne and Diana were never able to tell just how they got off that bed and out of the room. They only knew that after one frantic rush, they found themselves tiptoeing shiveringly upstairs.
Oh, who was it? What was it?
Whispered Anne, her teeth chattering with cold and fright.
It was Aunt Josephine,
Said Diana, gasping with laughter.
Oh, Anne, it was Aunt Josephine. How she came to be there. Oh, and I know she will be furious. It's dreadful. It is really dreadful, but didn't you ever know anything so funny, Anne?
Who is your Aunt Josephine?
She's father's aunt, and she lives in Charlottetown. She's awfully old, 70 anyway, and I don't believe she was ever a little girl. We were expecting her out for a visit, but not so soon. She's awful prim and proper, and she'll scold dreadfully about this. I know. Well, we have to sleep with Minnie May, and you can't think of how she kicks.
Miss Josephine Barry did not appear at the early breakfast the next morning. Mrs. Barry smiled kindly at the two little girls.
Did you have a good time last night? I tried to stay awake until you came home, for I wanted to tell you Aunt Josephine had come and that you would have to go upstairs after all, but I was so tired I fell asleep. I hope you didn't disturb your aunt, Diana.
Diana preserved a discreet silence, but she and Anne exchanged furtive smiles of guilty amusement across the table. Anne hurried home after breakfast, and so remained in blissful ignorance of the disturbance which presently resulted in the Barry household until the late afternoon, when she went down to Mrs. Lynde's on an errand for Marilla.
So you and Diana nearly frightened poor old Miss Barry to death last night?
Said Mrs. Lynde severely, but with a twinkle in her eye.
Mrs. Barry was here just a few minutes ago on her way to Carmody. She's feeling real worried over it. Old Miss Barry was in a terrible temper when she got up this morning, and Josephine Barry's temper is no joke. I can tell you that. She wouldn't speak to Diana at all.
It wasn't Diana's fault.
said Anne contritely.
It was mine. I suggested racing to see who would get into bed first.
I knew it,
said Mrs. Lynde, with the exultation of a correct guesser.
I knew the idea came out of your head. Well, it's made a nice lot of trouble, that's what. Old Miss Barry came out to stay for a month, but she declares she won't stay another day and is going right back to town tomorrow. Sunday and all, as it is. She'd have gone today if they could have taken her. She'd promised to pay for a quarter's music lessons for Diana, but now she's determined to do nothing at all for such a tomboy. Oh, I guess they had a lively time of it there this morning. The Barrys must feel cut up. Old Miss Barry's rich, and they'd like to keep on the good side of her. Of course, Mrs. Barry didn't say that just to me, but I'm a pretty good judge of human nature, that's what.
I'm such an unlucky girl,
mourned Anne.
I'm always getting into scrapes myself and getting my best friends. People I'd shed my heart's blood for into them too. Can you tell me why it is so, Mrs. Lynde?
It's because you're too heedless and impulsive, child, that's what. You never stop to think. Whatever comes into your head to say, or do you say, or do it with... Yes, whatever comes into your head to say or do, you say or do it without a moment's reflection.
Oh, but that's the best of it,
protested Anne.
Something just flashes into your mind, so exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you spoil it all. Haven't you never felt that yourself, Mrs. Lynde?
No, Mrs. Lynde had not. She shook her head sagely.
You must learn to think a little, Anne. That's what. The proverb you need to go by is look before you leap, especially into spare room beds.
Mrs. Lynde laughed comfortably over her mild joke, but Anne remained pensive. She saw nothing to laugh at in the situation, which to her eyes appeared very serious. When she left Mrs. Lynde's, she took her way across the crusted fields to Orchard Slope. Diana met her at the kitchen door.
Your Aunt Josephine was very cross about it, wasn't she?
Whispered Anne.
Yes,
answered Diana, stifling a giggle with an apprehensive glance over her shoulder at the closed sitting-room door.
she was fairly dancing with rage, and oh, how she scolded. She said I was the worst behaved girl she ever saw, and that my parents ought to be ashamed of the way that they had brought me up. She said she won't stay, and I'm sure I don't care, but father and mother do.
Why didn't you tell them it was my fault?
Demanded Anne.
It's likely I do such a thing, isn't it?
Said Diana with just scorn.
I no tattletale, Anne Shirley. And anyway, I was just as much to blame as you.
Well, I'm going in to tell her myself,
said Anne resolutely. Diana stared.
Anne Shirley, you'd never. Why, she'd eat you alive.
don't frighten me any more than I am frightened.
Implored Anne.
I'd rather walk up to a cannon's mouth, but I've got to do it, Diana. It was my fault and I've got to confess. I've had practice in confessing, fortunately.
Well, she's in the room,
said Diana.
You can go in if you want. I wouldn't dare. And I don't believe you'll do a bit of good.
With this encouragement, Anne bearded the lion in its den, that is to say, walked resolutely up to the sitting room door and knocked faintly. A sharp "Come in" followed. Miss Josephine Barry, thin, prim, and rigid, was knitting fiercely by the fire, her wrath quite unappeased and her eyes snapping through her gold-rimmed glasses. She wheeled around in her chair, expecting to see Diana, and beheld a white-faced girl whose great eyes were brimmed up with a mixture of desperate courage and shrinking terror.
"Who are you?"
demanded Miss Josephine Barry without ceremony.
I am Anne of Green Gables,
said the small visitor tremulously, clasping her hands with a characteristic gesture.
and I've come to confess, if you please.
"Confess what?"
That it was all my fault about jumping into bed on you last night. I suggested it. Diana would never have thought of such a thing, I am sure. Diana is a very ladylike Miss Barry, so you must see how unjust it is to blame her.
"Oh, I must. Hey, I rather think Diana did her share of the jumping, at least. Such carryings on in a respectable house."
But we were only having fun.
Persisted Anne.
I think you ought to forgive us, Miss Barry, now that we've apologized. And anyhow, please forgive Diana and let her have her music lessons. Diana's heart is set on her music lessons, Miss Barry, and I know too well that it is set to your heart on a what it is to set your heart on a thing and not get it. If you must be cross with anyone, be cross with me. I've been so used in my early days to having people cross at me that I can endure it much better than Diana can.
Much of the snap had gone out of the old lady's eyes by this time and was replaced by a twinkle of amused interest. But she still said severely,
"I don't think it is any excuse for you that you were only in fun. Little girls never indulged in that kind of fun when I was young. You don't know what it is to be awakened out of a sound sleep after a long, arduous journey by two great girls coming bounce down on you."
I don't know, but I can imagine.
said Anne eagerly.
I'm sure it must have been very disturbing, but then there is our side of it too. Have you any imagination, Miss Barry? If you have, just put yourself in our place. We didn't know there was anybody in that bed, and you nearly scared us to death. It was simply awful the way we felt, and then we couldn't sleep in the spare room after being promised. I suppose you are used to sleeping in spare rooms, but just imagine what you would feel like if you were a little orphan girl who had never had such an honor.
All the snap had gone by this time. Miss Barry actually laughed, a sound which caused Diana, waiting in speechless anxiety in the kitchen outside, to give a great gasp of relief.
"I'm afraid my imagination is a little rusty. It's so long since I used it.
She said.
I dare say your claim to sympathy is just as strong as mine. It all depends on the way we look at it. Sit down here and tell me about yourself."
I'm very sorry, I can't.
Said Anne firmly.
I would like to, because you seem like an interesting lady, and you might even be a kindred spirit, although you don't look very much like it. But it is my duty to go home to Miss Marilla Cuthbert. Miss Marilla Cuthbert is a very kind lady who has taken me to bring up properly. She is doing her best, but it is very discouraging work. You must not blame her because I jumped on the bed. But before I go, I do wish you would tell me if you will forgive Diana and stay just as long as you meant to in Avonlea.
I think perhaps I will if you will come over and talk to me occasionally.
said Miss Barry. That evening, Miss Barry gave Diana a silver bangle bracelet and told the senior members of the household that she had unpacked her valise.
I've made up my mind to stay simply for the sake of getting better acquainted with that Anne girl.
She said frankly.
She amuses me, and at my time of life, an amusing person is a
Rarity.
rarity.
Marilla's only comment when she heard the story was,
I told you so.
this was for Matthew's benefit. Miss Barry stayed her month out and over. She was a more agreeable guest than usual, for Anne kept her in good humor. They became firm friends. When Miss Barry went away, she said,
Remember you, Anne girl, when you come to town where you're to visit me, and I'll put you in my very sparest of spare room beds to sleep.
Miss Barry was a kindred spirit after all.
confided Anne to Marilla.
You wouldn't think so to look at her, but she is. You don't find it right out at first, as in Matthew's case, but after a while you come to see it. Kindred spirits are not so scarce as I used to think. It's splendid to find out there are so many of them in the world.
End of chapter. All right, by the way, you guys, unfortunately, we didn't get this in the anime. I was one of my favorite scenes where Diana and Anne jump on Miss Barry. By the way, good job on the merciful heavens. That's an iconic line. Yes. Good job, little butterfly, with doing the Miss Joe Barry. All right. So one other thing I want to point out, you guys, did you notice the flashing method that's just so silly, cute but silly? 1 flash is "Are you there?" 2 is yes. 3 is no. Or I'm like, how are you gonna do no? How are you gonna flash no?
Yeah, I was also thinking.
If you're not here, speak up now.
But it was all concocted by Anne, so of course it has some kind of little logistical issue there. So we see again also Miss Rachel Lynde. She's turning out to be not such a bad soul. She's like, I knew it was your idea. Love that she is getting to know.
I'm coming back in 2 minutes. Okay.
All right, she's coming back in 2 minutes. So gang, anything about this chapter? We have 2 minutes because we can't do anything without Anne. So might as well. Teal?
I really like the warmth and the humor of it in this chapter. Like you said, the 4 flashes is a bit ridiculous. And just, yeah. being afraid
my
of
feet.
Josephine, but
Mm-hmm.
she turned out pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was all
it
the
reminds me
people.
of the scene of the anime.
Which one? Oh, the 1971.
They're flashing. Yeah,
Oh,
they're flashing the
The
candle.
flashing. The
The light
flashing.
of the candle.
Yes, I'm glad they kept that.
Yeah.
It's super cute. We got that as early as episode 2, actually.
And
Butterfly.
then there was all the people at the concert too.
Right. The concert, you guys. Anything about that concert that you want to talk about? I know I have stuff to point out, but
Oh,
we have Gil. What happened with Gilbert?
He's making it evident, known to everybody that he's interested in Anne, and she's making it very evident that she is not interested in him.
Right. So I don't know if it's consciously on his part that he likes her, that he's trying to let people know, but he certainly is showing signs. And Diana, like a good friend, is trying to, I don't know, she's trying to be like, oh, come on, girl.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Yeah. But no, it's a matter of principle, you guys. She was offended.
Of course.
So she's not gonna.
And then
How
she
dare
was-
she make fun of her beautiful orange hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a ways to go before there's going to be any thoughts of forgiveness here. She makes it so evident that she doesn't want anything to do with him. Like, actually, first of all, who takes a book to actually, maybe here, we're all bookworms here, so maybe somebody does take a book to events. But she took somebody's library book that they took and started reading it when Gilbert did his recitation. In the anime, we got a different kind of concert. I think they fast forwarded, like, they skipped like at least. Right, so let me see. Because I know for sure that this is winter. So they skipped like a year's worth of content, if we're going by that. Because they haven't yet done the ladder, right? When she balances on top of the house. She hasn't done that yet in
The ridge
here.
pole.
Yeah, the ridge pole. She hasn't watched the ridge pole yet. So, I don't know. They kind of skipped a lot. Sad.
Yeah, it's really a shame that we didn't get to see this in the anime because it seems pretty interesting.
Yeah.
she definitely walked the ridgepole in the anime.
Yeah, she did walk the ridge pole. Yuki, are you here?
Maybe they're like switching around the stuff so like it fits the story they're trying to say. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm just imagining they're cutting stuff out. Because I mean, a lot of this is just kind of like funny stories of Anne growing up, and then they have like character building moments, so I guess they're sticking to like parts that are defining for Anne.
Well, they also have to condense 3 books into a 12-episode
24
series.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 2-core.
24.
Yeah. But at least we're getting that. Imagine.
Well, either way, it's
it's
3 books and 24 episodes. They have to cut
Like
a good bit out.
One book in 8 episodes or something like that.
Yeah. But I'm still thankful for what they're doing. I will be giving my episode 5 review, I don't know, maybe next week. I don't know. I have a whole bunch of stuff on my plate. But, by the way, I did release the episode reviews for episode 2, 3, and 4. I hope you watched them. Hope you enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun making them. But I just be forewarned that I may also batch release 5 and 6 and maybe 7. Depends on how work and schedule goes. But I am covering it, so please don't feel that I am dropping this series. Like, I have dropped series in the past, I have, but I'm not dropping this one.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, you guys. If, by the way, if something doesn't perform well on YouTube, I will stop doing it unless I am really, really enjoying it. So there are some series where I'm like, yeah, like it's not doing well, and also I'm really pushing myself and struggling to like motivate myself to do it, so I kind of drop it. But for like series, for example, what was it, Raeliana? That was so much fun. Didn't get a lot of views. I completed that thing. It was fun. I was cool. That's cool. I think I dropped. What was that? What was the other one?
Apothecary Diaries?
Yeah, but I already talked about that. Oh, there's another one. Bookworm Princess, or what was it? Something Princess.
Bibliophile
Princess. There we go. Bibliophile Princess. I dropped it at the last moment. I was like, I'm so lazy. I don't want to do this. And nobody asked for it in the comments, so I'm like, cool. That's what happens. I think I didn't do last 2 episodes. But it's still a cute series, and I did finish it, but it wasn't like something that I felt really compelled to finish. When it came
I
down to
also dropped that series. I don't know, like it got a little bit boring. I'm sorry.
No problem. It is what it is. And then okay, so let's continue on. Let's do chapter 20. And let's see, A Good Imagination Gone Wrong. Again, this is a chapter that the anime skipped, but you guys can imagine it very vividly because Ellen Montgomery did such a good job with it. Really funny, really. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get this done. A Good Imagination Gone Wrong. Spring had come once more to Green Gables, the beautiful, capricious, reluctant Canadian spring, lingering through April and May in a succession of sweet, fresh, chilly days, with pink sunsets and miracles of resurrection and growth. The maples in Lover's Lane were red-budded, and little curly ferns pushed up around the Dryad's bubble. Away up in the barrens, behind Mr. Silas Sloane's place, the mayflowers blossomed out, pink and white stars of sweetness under their brown leaves. All the schoolgirls and boys had one golden afternoon gathering them, coming home in the clear, echoing twilight with arms and baskets full of flowery spoil.
I'm so sorry for people who live in lands where there are no mayflowers,
said said Anne.
Diana says perhaps they have something better, but there couldn't be anything better than mayflowers, could there, Marilla? And Diana says if they don't know what they are like, they don't miss them. But I think that it is the saddest thing of all. I think that it would be very tragic, Marilla, not to know what mayflowers are like and not to miss them. Do you know what I think mayflowers are, Marilla? I think they must be the souls of the flowers that died last summer, and this is their heaven. But we had a splendid day today, Marilla. We had our lunch down in a big mossy hollow by the old well. Such a romantic spot. Charlie Sloane dared Artie Gillis to jump over it, and Artie did because he wouldn't take a dare. Nobody would in school. It is very fashionable to dare. Mr. Phillips gave all the mayflowers he found to Prissy Andrews, and I heard him to say sweets to the sweet. He got that out of a book, I know, but it shows he has some imagination. I was for some mayflowers too, but I rejected them with scorn. I can't tell you the person's name because I have vowed never to let it cross my lips. We made rats of mayflowers and put them on our hats. And when the time came to go home, we marched in procession down the road, 2 by 2, with our bouquets and rods, singing My Home on the Hill. Oh, it was so thrilling, Marilla. All Mr. Silas Sloane's folks rushed out to see us, and everybody we met on the road stopped and stared at us. We made a real sensation.
Not much wonder. Such silly doings.
Was Marilla's response. After the Mayflowers came the violets, and Violet Bell was enrumpled with them. No, empurpled, sorry. And Violet Bell was empurpled with them. Anne walked through it on her way to school with reverent steps and worshipping eyes, as if she trod on holy ground.
Somehow,
She told Diana.
when I'm going through here, I don't really care about whether anybody gets ahead of me in class or not. But when I'm up in school, it's all different, and I care as much as ever. There's such a lot of different Annes in me. I sometimes think that that is why I'm such a troublesome person. If I was just one, and it would be ever so much more comfortable, but then it wouldn't be half so interesting.
One June evening, when the orchards were pink blossomed again, when the frogs were singing silverly sweet in the marshes about the head of the Lake of Shining Waters, and the air was full of the savor of clover fields and balsamic fir woods, Anne was sitting by her gable window. She had been studying her lessons, but it had grown too dark to see the book, so she had fallen into wide-eyed reverie, looking out past the boughs of the Snow Queen, once more bestarred with its tuft of blossom. In all essential respects, the little gable chamber was unchanged. The walls were still as white, the pincushion as hard, the chairs as stiffly and yellowly upright as ever. Yet the whole character of the room was altered. It was full of a new, vital, pulsing personality that seemed to pervade it, and to be quite independent of the schoolgirl books and dresses and ribbons, and even of the cracked blue jug full of apple blossoms on the table. It was as if all the dreams, sleeping and waking, of its vivid occupant had taken a visible, although unmaterial form, and had tapestried the bare room with splendid filmy tissues of rainbow and moonshine. Presently, Marilla came briskly in with some of Anne's freshly ironed school aprons. She hung them over a chair, and then sat down with a short sigh. She had had one of her headaches that afternoon, and although the pain had gone, she felt weak and tuckered out, as she expressed it. Anne looked at her with eyes limpid with sympathy.
I do truly wish I could have had a headache in your place, Marilla. I would have endured it joyfully for your sake.
I guess you did your part in attending to the work and letting me rest,
said Marilla.
You seem to have got on fairly well and made fewer mistakes than usual. Of course, it wasn't exactly necessary to starch Matthew's handkerchiefs, and most people, when they put a pie in the oven to warm up for dinner, take it out and eat it when it gets hot, instead of leaving it to be burned to a crisp. But that doesn't seem to be your way, evidently.
Headaches always left Marilla somewhat sarcastic.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
said Anne penitently.
I never thought about the pie from the moment I put it in the oven till now. Although I felt instinctively that there was something missing on the dinner table, I was firmly resolved when you left me in charge of this morning not to imagine anything but keep my thoughts on facts. I did pretty well until I put the pie in, and then an irresistible temptation came to me to imagine I was an enchanted princess shut up in a lonely tower with a handsome knight riding to my rescue on a coal black steed. So that is how I came to forget the pie. I didn't know I starched the handkerchiefs. All the time I was ironing, I was trying to think of a name for a new island Diana and and I have discovered up the brook. It's the most ravishing spot, Marilla. There are 2 maple trees on it, and the brook flows right around it. At last, it struck me that it would be splendid to call it Victoria Island, because we found it on the Queen's birthday. Both Diana and I are very, very loyal. And I'm sorry about that pie and the handkerchiefs. I wanted to be extra good today because it's an anniversary. Do you remember what happened this day last year, Marilla?
No, I can't think of anything special.
Oh, Marilla, it was the day I came to Green Gables. I shall never forget it. It was the turning point in my life. Of course, it didn't seem so important to you. I've been here for a year and I've been so happy. Of course, I've had my troubles, but one can live down troubles. Are you sorry you kept me, Marilla?
No, I can't say I'm sorry.
Said Marilla, who sometimes wondered how she could have lived before Anne came to Green Gables.
No, not exactly sorry. If you finish your lessons, Anne, I want you to run over and ask Mrs. Barry if she'll lend me Diana's apron pattern.
Oh, it's too dark.
Cried Anne.
Too dark? Oh, why, it's only twilight. And goodness knows you've gone over often enough after dark.
I'll go over early in the morning.
Said Anne eagerly.
I'll get up at sunrise and go over, Marilla.
What has got into your head now, Anne Shirley? I want that pattern to cut out your new apron this evening. Go at once and be smart, too.
I'll have to go around by the road then,
said Anne, taking up her hat reluctantly.
Oh, by the road and waste half an hour. I'd like to catch you.
I can't go through the haunted wood, Marilla,
cried Anne desperately. Marilla stared.
The haunted wood. Are you crazy? What under the canopy is the haunted wood?
The spruce wood over the brook,
said Anne in a whisper.
Fiddlesticks. There is no such thing as a haunted wood anywhere. Who has been telling you such stuff?
Nobody,
confessed Anne.
Diana and I just imagined the wood was haunted. All the places around here are so commonplace. We just got this up for our own amusement. We began it in April. A haunted wood is so very romantic, Marilla. We chose the spruce grove because it's so gloomy. Oh, we have imagined the most harrowing things. There's a white lady that walks along the brook just about this time of the night and wrings her hands and utters wailing cries. She appears when there is to be a death in the family, and the ghost of a little murdered child haunts the corner by Idlewild. It creeps up behind you and lays its cold fingers on your hands so. Oh, Marilla, it gives me a shudder just to think of it. And there's a headless man that stalks up and down the path, and skeletons glower at you between the boughs. Oh, Marilla, I wouldn't go through the haunted wood after dark now or anything. I'd be sure that the white things would reach out from behind the trees and grab me.
Did ever anyone hear the like?
Ejaculated Marilla, who had listened in dumb amazement.
Shirley, do you mean to tell me you believe all that wicked nonsense of your own imagination?
Not believe exactly.
Faltered Anne.
At least I don't believe it in daylight. But after dark, Marilla, it's different. That is when ghosts walk.
There are no such things as ghosts, Anne.
Oh, but there are, Marilla,
cried Anne eagerly.
I know people who have seen them, and they are respectable people. Charlie Sloan says that his grandmother saw his grandfather driving home the cows one night after he'd been buried for a year. You know, Charlie, Sloan's grandmother wouldn't tell a story for anything. She's a very religious woman, and Mrs. Thomas's father was pursued home one night by a lamb of fire with its head cut off by hanging by a strip of his skin. He said he knew it was the spirit of his brother and that it was warning he would die within 9 days. He didn't, but he died 2 years after, so you see, it was really true. And Ruby's Gillis says,
Anne Shirley,
interrupted Marilla firmly.
I never want to hear you talking in this fashion again. I've had my doubts about that imagination of yours right along, and if this is going to be the outcome of it, I won't countenance any such doings. You'll go right over to Barry's, and you'll go through the spruce grove, just for a lesson and a warning to you. And never let me hear a word out of your head about haunted woods again.
Anne might plead and cry as she liked, and did, for her terror was very real. Her imagination had run away with her, and she held the spruce grove in mortal dread after nightfall. But Marilla was inexorable. She marched the shrinking ghost seer down to the spring and ordered her to proceed straight away over the bridge and into the dusky retreats of wailing ladies and headless specters beyond.
"Oh, Marilla, how can you be so cruel?"
sobbed Anne.
"What would you feel like if a white thing did snatch me up and carry me off?"
I'll risk it.
said Marilla unfeelingly.
You know, I always mean what I say. I'll cure you of your imagining ghosts into places. March, now.
Anne marched. That is, she stumbled over the bridge and went shuddering up the horrible dim path beyond. Anne never forgot that walk. Bitterly did she repent the license she had given to her imagination. The goblins of her fancy lurked in every shadow about her, reaching out their cold, fleshless hands to grasp the terrified small girl who had called them into being. A white strip of birch bark blowing up from the hollow over the brown floor of the grove made her heart stand still. The long-drawn wail of two old boughs rubbing against each other brought out the perspiration in beads on her forehead. The swoop of bats in the darkness over her was as the wings of unearthly creatures. When she reached Mr. William Bell's field, she fled across it as if pursued by an army of white things, and arrived at the Berry kitchen door, so out of breath that she could hardly gasp out her request for the apron pattern. Diana was awake, so that she had no excuse to linger. The dreadful return journey had to be faced. Anne went back over it with shut eyes, preferring to take the risk of dashing her brains out among the boughs to that of seeing a white thing. When she finally stumbled over the log bridge, she drew one long, shivering breath of relief.
Well, so nothing caught you?
Said Marilla unsympathetically.
"Oh, Marilla,"
chattered Anne.
"I'll be contented with the common places after this."
End of chapter.
Gotta love her overactive imagination.
Don't let the white
Yes!
things catch you. Oh man, that was a fun one. Oh, Marilla, she is not. Dang, Marilla.
I'll risk it. I love that. I'll risk it. It's fine. Okay.
Oh, Marilla. She's like really unsentimental. Like, you would think that, oh yeah, it's the first anniversary of like when you came. Oh yeah, well, I love this girl a lot, but nope, she must go. And no, I don't care if she's scared. She will be brought up properly and she will walk. Like you would.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I cannot imagine life without this girl. I have no idea how I lived without her. But at the same time, you know what? If the gods are gonna catch you, then it is what it is.
Marilla is a bit tsundere. She's like,
Oh,
oh, I
yes.
guess I'm not sorry I took you in.
Oh yeah.
So
Not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to wonder. Anne's trek through the haunted woods with Diane, was that only in the live action adaptation that we watched, or was that
That was only live action.
Mhm.
Yeah. See, now you have to reach the point where you're like, was that the live act? Did the anime cover it, or was it the live action? No.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, oh wow, this is some foreshadowing for what's going to happen later, and then wait, that's really out of order. What's going on here?
Right. So we see how different adaptations, they have different pacings. Yeah, the live action, now that I'm rereading this, it did quite a bit of changes. It has a lot of changes. Not too bad. Still keeps to the spirit, but it does definitely have things that, oh, that was very, very different than in the book. And the order too. Like for this one, I think they had her just she fell off the roof, sprained her ankle when I think she actually did break her ankle. And then after that, she walked through the haunted wood with Diane, and we got this whole thing. So again, they were doing what was necessary to be able to adapt as many parts of the book, but still, within the limits of, time and budget or whatever. I'm glad they did adapt this. It was funny. Yes, sarcastic Marilla. We love a sarcastic Marilla, though. I think it's the novel says that her headaches kind of make it worse. So I hope that. Poor Marilla. Honestly, you guys, as a headache.
Poor Marilla.
Yeah.
Poor Teal. She's got the headache.
You got a headache, Teal? Do you? Oh, I think. Let me see.
It's directly after.
Oh, okay. I too have a headache at the moment. How meta. Aw, Teal, I hope you feel better after you get some rest. I know you have to go to work soon, or probably are already on your way to work. I hope you feel better. But thank you.
I had to step away for a moment.
Yeah, no problem. But thank you for reading with us in spite of the headache.
It's a pretty minor headache, but it helped me get into character.
You always do read a really good Marilla. So, have any of you guys ever had, like, when you were growing up, your imagination got the better of you? You had like little. Because I'm pretty sure this is a common occurrence with a lot of children. Yeah. It happened to me.
Literally every single time when the sun was starting to go down, just my brain kind of switched, and I was like, okay, I'm in a survival game right now.
So my grandparents, who lived in Nebraska, they had a pretty decent sized basement, but unfortunately the light switch to light up the basement is at the bottom of the stairs, which means I have to go through the dark stairs to get to the bottom of the stairs and turn on the light, which illuminates the entire stairs.
Oh
my god!
And of course, since this is a older house, they have all kinds of cobwebs, and then there's fleas, which you can feel them jumping around in your hair, so there's that added little bit of sensory. And so me being afraid of the dark, yeah, I was not very happy going down to the basement, but Mom needed something from down there, so I had to go.
Oh my god. That's horrifying.
So I absolutely can relate. Like I told you guys, my mom was brought up in like a pueblito, like out in the boonies, like in Oaxaca. Like they had electricity, but it was still kind of very, very far flung place. And so we would go often to visit, to see grandpa. And it was scary. Like, you know how people like usually like they abandon houses because a lot of people go to live in the big city. So as the children move out, then the children never come back, the people just die, and the houses become abandoned.
Yeah.
So what used to be a fairly, populous little town, little by little became abandoned. So well, my cousins would sometimes say like, this is the house where this person died, they were bitten by a dog, and then this person, they were shot in like this family feud. And so at night sometimes like you had to go to the restroom outside, and we lived in, I think the house was in front of, like really close to the house of the man who was like died by suicide. So I didn't want to go to the restroom at night because I was like, the ghost of the man is there or something like that. And it was a battle between willpower and like, I was like, okay, do I hold it? Can I hold it until tomorrow?
I don't know why this made me think of Home Alone when Buzz is telling Kevin and I think their brother about the guy who's shoveling the sidewalks and talking about he's a serial killer and
he keeps his bodies in the salt.
Yes.
Yeah. I think
your entire description was exactly how it is in the countryside here. On both sides, the houses are abandoned. There might be all kinds of ruffling in the bushes because there might be foxes. It's like a whole thing. And yes, the toilet is very far away from the house.
Yes. So maybe being a city kid has made me maybe a little bit more scaredy cat than most other folks, but it is what it is. I like my creature comforts. I like indoor plumbing. Sue me.
God bless indoor plumbing.
Yes, amen. Speaking of which,
Did you not have dogs?
Sorry, what?
Did you not have dogs? I would always have like the dogs around me. So like, okay, you guys are protecting me from the ghosts.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
My grandpa.
Too bad I didn't have any dogs.
Yeah, my grandpa didn't have dogs. So he had horses and stuff, but no dogs. So no, we didn't have that. There were plenty of stray dogs out in the streets, but
horses could be even better protectors than dogs.
They can.
They're much bigger.
Yes, they
But
and they are loyal.
you're taking them to the toilet. It sounds impractical to get the horse with you to the toilet.
Look, you just have to tie the thing to the outhouse. It's not going to run off without you, I think.
Take the outhouse with it.
Okay, you guys, but think about this. If you take the horses are actually super nervous animals. Like people have been killed by horses because horses have like heard like a twig break and they just bolt and people die. So I don't know. Take your pick. Like you could die from being taken by a white thing. Or you could die from your horse accidentally kicking you in the head. I don't know. Oh, man. So,
Talking about like ghosts, it reminded me that one of the biggest fears I had, which was like geographically ridiculous a little, because of American cartoons, it was chupacabra. So like I was always like, it's coming for my goats. I gotta protect my goats.
The funny thing is the chupacabra is very much a Mexican creature.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
how I'm surprised at the fame or the spread of the chupacabra lore. Like when the chupacabra. Okay, if you guys remember, like I don't know if when it started being a thing, but I think it was the 90s in my estimation. I don't know if it was before that or if that was the year when I learned about the chupacabra, but it just got really famous.
You know what I'm really surprised about? I grew up in California with a lot of Mexican friends and all that, and I never heard of La Llorona until I was an adult. I'm like, what? Where was this? Why didn't you guys tell me about this?
I think La Llorona is more of the Llorona, by the way, everybody. La Llorona is, I guess, the Mexican version of the wailing lady, I guess, that Anne referred to. But the lore is this woman, her children got taken, and now she is... Or actually, no, there's different stories. One of them, her children got taken. Another is that she killed her children. So, yeah, she stalks the night and the darkness, wailing for her children who are missing, dead, etc. But yeah, I think various cultures have a Llorona
we also
variant.
have it. Yeah, we also have it, and usually it's on the road, and it's trying to make people have an accident and stuff by jumping in front of the car and stuff. We have a lot of myths and legends here, but usually for all of them, we've got countermeasures. You know, they are local legends. So like, okay, there are stuff to combat them. You know, like how with the vampires, you've got garlic and everything.
Yeah.
Listen,
Silver bullet, stake through the heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, recently has been Easter, and after Easter, it's Saint George. I don't know the George. I don't know what the variant. Anyway, so based on the fact that Jesus was resurrected, it also says like a thing of like, and it took everyone out of the cemeteries. So now there is this concept in Romania that is basically zombies. And we put grass on the front door, like you'll see all the doors filled with grass, fresh grass, so that the zombies don't come into your house. Like that's a thing, you know?
Oh, I love it.
Again, we have to hand it to Romania, which is where Yukihime is joining us from. They have lots of wild stories. That's basically ground zero for all kinds of interesting folk legends and creepy things.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one of these days we should read Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Maybe.
I would like to.
Yeah, if you want to, we can do it on the Reads channel. Yes, I have to push more traffic to the Reads channel, you guys. That'd be an interesting idea.
Be nice.
I
haven't actually read it.
I haven't read it either. I started reading Frankenstein, but I don't know if I just didn't get on the I don't know. I was like, I want to read about the Frankenstein, and it was just about this man being emo. Like the first 2 chapters.
Yeah.
I was like, this emo dude, he's just saying like, I had a great life and I messed it up. Oh, woe is me. I'm like, I hate you. And if this story is going to be centered around you, like, go away.
No, this is the whole story. Like, this is the whole story. You'll hate the guy that created the monster. All the story. He's just an asshole. He created a child, basically a child, and then was just scared because it was ugly, and so it just didn't take care of it.
Exactly.
Like, it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
it is horrible. So I'm like, I don't know, man.
You mean it's not funny like Young Frankenstein? The
I was deceived. I was expecting Young Frankenstein, yes, but Frankenstein.
My, what knockers! Why, thank you, Doctor.
Oh my gosh. All right, you guys. I've had so much fun. I think it's time though that we wrap it up. I've had a lot of fun. I know. But that only means that you can join us and we can continue on chatting after we end the live stream. We'll still have a little after party on the Discord server if you guys want. But I think right now we're good. I hope that you join us on, Tuesday, sorry, next Wednesday as we pick up on the next couple of chapters, next 2 chapters, let me see what is the next chapter. A new departure in flavorings. I forget what this covers. Oh, this is Mr. Phillips, I think, situation. I think that's somewhere in there. I think that's it. Don't tell me yes or no. 21. And then 21 is... Hold on a second. Need a pattern. Anyway, somewhere around here. Where is that? I could imagine to go wrong. 21, 22. Anne is invited out to tea. So it's going to be an interesting couple of chapters. I hope that you join us. But I love this, the next chapter, actually, the one Anne is invited out to tea, or oh no, a new flavoring. Anyway, you guys will love it. It'll be interesting. It'll be really fun. I'll leave you guys to your weekends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. We will see you on Wednesday. And of course, if you haven't watched the reviews, go check them out. Bye bye, everybody. Say bye bye again.
Bye bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.